Hey Dad, a lot of people around me are getting credit cards at the moment and I want to know, should I get one for myself?
Great question, son. The simple answer is generally no.
Why is that? I see you have one and I hear they're really good for racking up Qantas points. Isn't that just like free money?
Well, I'm glad you asked, son. Credit cards can be a really good tool if they're used correctly, and they can be really good to build up, as you say, Qantas points and any other benefits, but most people usually end up in a worse position by bringing a credit card into their life.
Dad, that makes no sense. What do you mean?
Well, son, for starters, if you ever end up in a position owing any money on a credit card, you're going to be paying some of the highest rates of interest around. And secondly, and more importantly, there are countless studies looking into the use of credit cards and the psychology of spending money. And all of those studies show those that use credit cards on average will spend higher amounts of money than those that do not use credit cards, and therefore they will save less. So essentially, that erodes any benefit of racking up any of those travel points or benefits that you may get from the credit card. And thirdly, you're not going to be able to borrow as much money to buy a home when you have a credit card.
Okay, well that doesn't sound good, so why on earth do you use one?
Well, son, your mother and I use our credit card to pay off anything outside of our everyday expenditure. So we actually use our credit card to pay off our bills, even the rent in the home that we're currently living in. We put that on the credit card because those items we can't actually overspend on. And we do not do any of our everyday spending on our credit card because we're typically then going to be in a position where we're likely going to get and spend more money on things that we ultimately don't need.
Geez, Dad, you're boring. So how do you pay for everything else if you're not using your credit card for it?
Well, son, as boring as it may sound, our amazing financial advisor put together our cash flow structure. And what he's done is actually got a certain amount of money going into a separate account every week to cover all of our everyday expenditure. And there is a card attached up to that, but that is not a credit card. That is just a card attached up to that savings account. And what this does ensure is we have a target every week on what we can spend on all of our everyday expenditure. And most importantly, we will not overspend. And of course, for all of that fun stuff like holidays, we do have our separate account budgeted for that.
Well, now that you put it that way, Dad, I probably don't need a credit card, do I?
You're exactly right, son. Not anytime soon.